Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live. Thank you again for coming on. I am Michelle O'Connor, your business growth strategist, and happy Friday. If you're joining live and if you're watching the replay, happy whichever day it is you're tuning in on. And so I want to thank you for coming on. We've been doing this series of lives and talking about how it is that we can help you to build a strategic growth plan for 2026. So if you are a founder, CEO, welcome. Go ahead and let me know which business you have and how long you've been in business, and also where you're joining from. I really like to know where persons are joining from. And if you know someone who is a founder or a CEO and they may have been having some challenges in terms of setting up a plan, they are making money because those are the persons that we're having this conversation with. They are running profitable businesses, but it just always seems like a day-to-day struggle. They're always at go, just going. And so what we want to share is how it is that you can create some structure so you know what you're focused on, and so does your team. Because I found that a lot of the overwhelm and a lot of the challenges that founders and CEOs experience has to do with them feeling that they are carrying everything on their own. The team doesn't understand, they don't get it. Why do I have to be the one to make the suggestions? And what we're doing is talking about some of the strategic tools that you can use to elevate your leadership as the founder and the CEO. So this week, we spoke about having a vision. And today I'm tying everything together so you can see this first phase of your plan, what is included in it as you assess your current situation. So we spoke about having a vision and the importance of it, having a personal vision, and also having a vision for your business. Once you are clear on what that is, that needs to be shared with your team. Someone might say, oh, I don't want my team to know about what my personal vision is. But guess what? Newsflash, they already know. And you might be wondering, how do they know, Michelle? Now, the thing is, I shared before that the vision that you have for your life will always be pulling you. You're always going to be drawn to it. But what we tend to do sometimes is feel that, oh, nobody knows. I'm just going and working on it in the corner. But for your team, when you cancel a meeting for a particular thing, when you don't show up because this other thing is pulling you, or you have this other engagement, you're saying yes to this and no to the business, they know. They know that this is now something that you are passionate about. And that is why, I encourage persons, share that with your team. And how it becomes important when you're working on your business growth plan is when you look at your vision and you know that there are other commitments that you're going to make in life. When you're developing your plan, you're ensuring that there are owners. You're ensuring that the activities that you're creating for your business, it doesn't all rely on you, because you don't want to be the bottleneck in your business. So ensure that your vision is clear. The second thing that we spoke about is looking at your performance dashboard. What is your performance dashboard? Your performance dashboard is that thing in your business, that document that says these are our targets and these are our actual results. And this is our variance, whether it's positive or negative. Every CEO needs to have that. If you don't have that, I don't know what you're tracking. Or you may be tracking something, but you're not really sure, the numbers look okay, but we're not really sure if we're meeting targets. We're going to be talking about KPIs on Monday, so you don't want to miss that one. But we don't want to get bogged down in what we didn't do for the year. Let's focus on what were we able to achieve. If you only have two measures that you were tracking, document them. Once you have documented your performance, because you don't want to plan on what you don't know, we're making decisions based on objective information and data. That's what we're doing. So once you have your performance dashboard completed, you know what you've achieved, you know what you haven't achieved. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to sit with your team and you're going to question those numbers. You're going to ask yourself, why is this positive? What did we do great that we were able to generate these results? You want to document that, because that is now the thing. Those are now the things that you're going to think about repeating going into 2026. Then you are going to think about the targets that you were not able to achieve. answer those questions. Did we not have adequate resources? Did we not market? Did we market at the wrong time? Because one of the other things that I don't want persons to do is look at the targets that you didn't achieve, because we tend to go there a lot. Oh, we didn't achieve this, so let's throw it out. No, maybe this initiative, this goal, this activity that you went after, I'm using these words because I know different persons use different terms for the goals that they go after. If this is something that you went after and you believe that it can work, maybe you just need to refine the whole. Ask yourself those questions. And when you're having those conversations with yourself and your team, I encourage persons not to come from a place of judgment, because you're looking at things that you can fix. You're looking at things that you can repeat. You're looking at things that you can elevate going into 2026. So this is the first phase of your planning. If you're joining, go ahead and let me know as well if you have any questions. We're having a conversation about the first phase of your strategic plan, which is assessing your current performance and your current environment. And if at any point in time you would like to have a conversation, I'm dropping my calendar link in the chat as well. But let me know where you're joining from and the type of business that you have, and also if you have any questions as we go through. So when you look at your performance dashboard, you're asking yourself, why? What did we do great that helped us to generate these results? I remember it was during the financial meltdown, and this was some time ago, 2018, I think, or 2008. But it was during the financial meltdown, probably 2008. And one of the things that we did as an organization is that we decided that we were going to focus on one thing. And when we look back at the results that we were able to generate, every time we were delayed on projects and we look back at the success we generated, what we realized is that we were all aligned and the entire organization is aligned. And so whenever we are going after anything new, what we ensure is everyone aligned? We need to have a yes to that question. And that's what I want you to do for your business. Everybody needs to be aligned. So whenever you look at your goal, question them whether they were positive or negative. So you have your vision, you have a performance dashboard. If you didn't have a performance dashboard for the year, guys, don't get overwhelmed in trying to create one. Just think about the target. So if your revenue goal for the year was 100,000, or if your profit target was 300,000 and you were able to generate that, write that down. We will fix that when we go into how we're making sure that we're monitoring our performance going forward. And if you, maybe one of the things that didn't work, if you don't have a performance dashboard, is that you weren't monitoring. And you don't need to have 5, 6, 10 KPIs. We're going to be talking about KPIs on Monday, but I want to say this. So let's say, for example, you're operating a co-work space and you have said, for my co-work space, the one KPI, the one thing that you're measuring on your dashboard is occupancy rate. We want to be occupied by, or occupancy rate should be 70%. Every week or every month, when you meet with your team, you're asking one question. What was our occupancy rate, or what is our occupancy rate? You're tracking that. If you're occupied, then you're meeting your revenue goal. The next question you may want to ask yourself is, who are the persons who we have occupying our space? Yeah, and if you want an occupancy rate of 80%, let's target more of these people. We have lawyers and doctors. They want to make sure that they have a physical space. They want to make sure they have a private space for their clients. As such, let's target these people. That is what it does. But we'll go into that when we get into a few more days. Hi, Jacob. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll go into it as we go into other days, because we're taking the framework that for this week, we're looking at where are we now? We're assessing. Let's look back. I use the example of going on a trip. If you go on vacation every year, whenever you're planning your vacation, I don't know about you, but for my family, we look at where have we been? How do we feel about these places? What did we like and what did we not like? So when we select the next place, we'll have a mixture of the things that we enjoyed and ensure that we eliminate what we did not enjoy. So that's the third thing. Your vision is the first, your performance dashboard, questioning your performance as the third thing. Then we looked at some tools that can help you to assess your environment. No, you don't operate in a vacuum. There are things that are happening around you, whether internally or externally, and you want to be aware of that. So, as a founder and the CEO, maybe you have, depending on the size of your organization, say you have a team of persons who can do this for you. However, if you don't, and you're assigning it to one of your managers, then there are ways that you can do this. So, let's look at the SWOT. The SWOT analysis is one. The SWOT framework, let me use the word framework, is one that a lot of us are aware of. In yesterday's live, and you can check it out on our page, we talked about how to use the SWOT to make business growth decisions. It's not a document that you use to collect information and you look and you celebrate the things that you are strong at, and you are looking out for opportunities, but you're not working on your weaknesses and making a mitigating strategy for your threats. So we spoke about how you use the information. How can I continue to make these strengths my strengths? How can I use my strength to improve my weaknesses? How can I use my strength to take advantage of opportunities? How can I use my threats and my weaknesses to develop a risk mitigating strategy? Those are some things that you want to think about. Assess your environment, because you want to know where you are right now. There are other documents out there like Pestle. If you don't have someone to do that, guys, you can also use AI, use ChatGPT to support you, but ensure that you are giving it the information that's needed. So let's look at doing a SWOT. I operate in X industry. The size of my organization is this. I want to be able to assess my people, my values, my processes. Can you give me some questions? Those are just a few examples. You can check the video. We did a full 30-minute training on that. So you want to gather that information so you can assess your environment and use what you already have. A lot of persons are talking about uncertainty, kind of pulling back on spending and managing their expenses or being efficient in how they're spending. So you want to look at what you have in your basket right now and see how you can use that going forward. I mentioned Pestle. So there are different ones. You can Google the different tools out there that allows you to assess your environment, but you also want to look at what are some of the opportunities that exist. So you know your strengths and your weaknesses. Those are internal. Those are your internal capabilities or your internal deficiencies. You can control what you do internally. Externally, you want to be aware. What is happening? What is coming up that could negatively impact my business? Am I able to put a strategy in place to manage the impact? Or can I mitigate, meaning can I avoid this threat from impacting my business? This is an opportunity. Is this the direction that we're going into, or will we want to take advantage of this? That's something that you want to look at. And it can be technology, macroeconomic factors, tariffs, so many things that you can look at. So, but go back and watch that video. We spent about 30 minutes on it. So you have some good information there. I also encourage you to speak to all levels of your team. My experience has been that as founders and CEOs, you're meeting with your high-level team and you guys are locked in a room making decisions and talking about the things that are happening in your company. However, the persons who are on the ground also needs to be a part of the conversation. They are seeing the facial expression of the people that you serve. They are having the conversation. They are getting the feedback. They're also interacting with potential customers. When they have conversations with their friends and their families, that is exactly what that is. So have conversations with them. Review your surveys. Don't just survey a client for surveying sake. Look at those results and take common things from it. And again, there are companies that offers analysis of data. We're in a world where a lot of the gap in terms of what we can get from information has closed. You can use AI as well. Upload your surveys there and ask it to analyze it for you. Another thing that you can look at is you can look at your Google reviews. We talk about the reviews we get on Google. Check out your Google reviews. Have someone collate all the reviews that you have gotten in a document and ask AI again, what is common in the reviews that I have been getting from my clients. That's another way for you to get information. Any questions so far? We're summarizing the reviewing process before we go into planning for the future, and we're helping you to develop a strategic plan that sees you showing up very focused, knowing what you're going after, knowing why you're going after it, and most importantly, having your entire team aligned around it. So let me know if you have any questions, and I've also dropped my calendar link in the chat if you would like to connect after. Now, another thing that you want to do as you review your current performance, look at your systems and your processes. And when I say look at, you don't have to dive deep. Have conversations again with your team. Do we see any bottlenecks? Do we see anything that may be a challenge for us going forward? What are some of the things that our clients have been giving feedback about? They may not complain about it, but this could have been a little bit easier. Also, when you look at what your competition is doing or your competitors are doing, you might gain from them, okay, if they are going to be doing X, it may negatively impact us in this way. So we need to improve our processes. So I want you to think about that. So we said Google reviews, look at your surveys, ask your team questions. Step back from being a CEO and think about being a consumer sometimes, and see if anything needs to change. And again, use AI. Drop your website link or talk about your onboarding process that you've documented. Ask AI, do you think in this world or in this industry that I'm in this fast-paced environment that we're in this AI generated space that we're in, is there anything that I need to look on for my business? So you want to do that as well. And I've always said to persons that whenever you're having conversations with your team, keep the questions simple. You know, as leaders, sometimes we can get a little highfalutin and we're using the big words. What is working? What is not working? What would you like us to change? And be open to the feedback. I think sometimes as leaders, because you're the ones who make the decisions, when you're receiving the feedback, it can almost feel as though the person is criticizing you and not the thing that was done. And those are two separate things. You know, we talk about growing as leaders. I was on a podcast this week, and that was something that we spoke about. When you're a leader, you're looking for constant and consistent improvement. So be open to the feedback from your team. Yeah, you may have been the one to make the decision, and they probably say, hey, this decision is crap or it's not serving our customers. Be open and willing to listen to those things. So that is our review for this week. I hope that you found some value in it, and go and check out our videos. And our aim in this 30 days is to have you complete your strategic action plan before Christmas holidays, so you can enjoy your holidays. You can start January knowing that you already worked on the goals for the new year. And most importantly, your team needs to know. I can't tell you enough how many clients I've worked with where the bottleneck in their business was not the ideas that they have. It wasn't the plan. It wasn't the system. Their team just wasn't aware. And you're giving them instructions on a day-to-day basis. And that is causing you burnout and causing them some level of frustration and kind of reducing the team engagement. And you want to, we all spend so much time in our business. You want to ensure that the team that you're working with, you know, as much as possible, is engaged and aware of where you're going as a company. I do hope that this was valuable for you as you think about planning and as you think about reviewing your current performance. This is a step that a lot of persons tend to ignore because it's not seen as fluffy. You know, you're not out there dreaming and coming up with grand ideas for the future, but you can't plan on what you don't know, especially if you existed before. You're making money. Now it's time for you to make money with a little bit more ease and structure and direction. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, if you want to connect with me, you can always book a time in my calendar. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Or if you have any questions, you can always email us. I'm going to just be dropping my email address here as well. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to still send us an email. Just ensure that you let us know your name, the type of business that you're in as well. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and God bless.